brace ourselves. In the next several days to a week or so, we're going to continue to see things go up. We cannot be discouraged by that because the mitigation is actually working.
Dr. Anthony Fauci has been the leading force behind the timelines given for social distancing. This week predicting we could see nearly 250,000 deaths at the peak of the pandemic if we do everything perfectly. Well, we've heard from Congressman Costa, Fresno County Supervisor Nathan Magsic, and Dr. Vohra. Now it's time to bring in the panel for the week. Let's take roll call. KMJ political commentator Michael Dermanuel Jr. is here, and the CEO of Fresno-based community clinics and former District 22 Democratic congressional candidate Bobby Bliatu. Guys, thank you for being here.
Yep, thank you.
Great to be here. Very, very socially distant from you, Alan.
Yes, very socially distant. Bobby, I want to start with you on this because obviously you're in the medical profession. Do you think more than 200,000 deaths is more of a scare tactic or reality here?
You know what? It is. I believe that it is a possible reality. And if you listen to what they've said, if we do everything perfect, you know, we can get around 100 to 200,000 that don't make it through this pandemic.
All right, what about you, Michael? What do you think about this? Because obviously this is a disturbing number. Dr. Fauci saying if we do everything perfectly, we can hold it under 250,000 of deaths. What do you think this is?
Well, I'm not a medical expert, but I think you have to bifurcate the number between New York State and the rest of the country. New York State still has roughly half of the cases, and with the rest of the country sort of looking at them as an example, I think we're going to be able to avoid a lot of the pain and suffering that has gone on there. So don't know about the number, but I'm much more optimistic. I think it's a double-edged sword to be optimistic at the federal briefing level, because once you do that, people will stop taking things seriously.
All right, I want to kind of switch gears here because Mayor Lee Brand, he has shut down all parks like Woodward Park over the Easter holiday, but says they're going to stay closed until the end of the month for playgrounds. The parks are going to kind of open up. Obviously, we've heard that. Should they continue to just keep the parks closed? Bobby, I'll start with you.
I think we need to keep the parks closed. I think we need to show that this is absolutely a very serious thing. Folks that need to exercise, they'll be able to do so in the normal ways that they do. But we got to try to, I think, keep people from wanting to congregate together in the different spaces that are out there. We got to do the best that we can to mitigate this, and that's what we should learn from what a lot of other places have done, and keeping people to keep their distances and just making sure and enforcing a way to keep people from congregating together in a way that's going to spread to keep them away from each other, to stop the mitigation of the disease is what we have to do.
And Mike, what about you? I know in your situation, golf courses in the county, private ones, they're still open. Probably golfing is much better than going to Walmart right now. But, obviously the county did follow suit on Friday by closing the parks. Is this something they need to do full throttle?
Well, listen, I've been driving by Woodward Park for the last 3 weeks wondering how nobody would notice the throngs of people there, and you can't clean the equipment every time somebody touches it. So you do have a health hazard with some of the playground equipment. It's a shame. I just think people are not following the rules when they go to the parks. I think they have this problem in Central Park in New York City, where they were sheltering in place there, and everybody would just go to Central Park and just expose each other. So I'm in favor of proceeding with caution on public parks, because I think the public's not doing a good job of cooperating here.
Well, and that leads me to this, because Fresno City Councilman Luis Chavez, he called me this week and said, look, I'm looking to propose something where repeat offenders who are not obeying the social distancing rules should be fined. They should be fined for not obeying the rules of whether you go to a park or a playground or what have you. You think this should be implemented? Bobby, I'll start with you.
If we're going to implement citations and fines, we need to make sure that everyone understands them, that everyone understands what is supposed to be done. And so they know where they can and cannot be. I think for people, for our residents, we understand essential businesses and non-essential businesses and not wanting to hang out. But there are other rules out there for employers that actually have to do screenings with their employees. I don't think everyone knows about it. So we can't go citing a lot of folks when they don't know what's going on. But we should enforce the things that people know. I think that's very important. And we see Italy, they're doing it. Some of the cities are taking it serious and they're starting to do it. And I think we've come to the point, like Michael said, we see people at Woodward Park and not following the rules, going on the playground equipment, sending kids there. We have to show some kind of enforcement to help people understand that, hey, this is serious. And
Mike, what about you? You think law enforcement should enforce this and fines should be set?
I've had some back and forth with the councilman on this, and here's the problem. On private property, I don't think the city has a constitutional right to fine somebody over social distancing. So if the councilman's worried about backyard barbecues and family get-togethers, it's a real slippery slope here. The public is informed. At some point, the public has to decide whether they're going to take this seriously. So I would really bifurcate this into a public gathering discussion versus private. And I don't think the city of Fresno has any jurisdictional interest in regulating private behavior on private property, as stupid as it may be. It's just not the business of the city to be involved in that.
All right, hang tight, guys. We're going to continue our conversation a little bit later as we got a lot more to discuss on this episode. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Thank you.
And still to come here, school's out. Fresno Unified will not have their students return to school this academic year. How they came to the tough decision and why Clovis Unified didn't follow along.